All right. Oh, where am I? Oh,
Maybe
I'm back.
Maybe you got to move that back a little bit.
Here, I'll sit kind of on this corner. I'll get in a little bit. There, how's that? Can be seen, see each other.
We'll figure this out. What's going on, everybody? Metal Dad here with Turbo as always, and Flynn in the background playing some bass. We're sitting here on a Sunday night. We didn't get out on Friday night because, well, there was a snowstorm on Friday. There was a snowstorm last Friday.
No, there was a snowstorm this weekend. There's a snowstorm on Thursday, Friday, halfway through Saturday.
Okay, yes, so you corrected. Yeah,
it was insane.
Because I did snow blow my driveway like twice, and it took me 3 hours each fucking time.
It was nuts.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who don't live in New Brunswick, Canada, when it snows, it fucking snows. But when it doesn't snow, it doesn't snow. And that's just how it is.
But it usually doesn't snow for 2.5 days. Like, that was a bit much. That was excessive.
Well, we've gotten a week's worth of rain, which is kind of the same thing.
Sure. But very rarely you get 2.5 days solid snow where it doesn't stop.
That's true. Usually it all comes down in one day.
Yeah.
Remember a few years ago when February, every other day we were getting like 2 feet of snow? Yeah,
it was wild.
That was return.
And then we did have a snowstorm the Friday before, which was a good one too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a couple good snowstorms.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I'm going to get on to we're supposed to be talking about shredding today, but we got a lot of stuff on the go. We got a lot of things to talk about because, we want to talk about and support the truckers. By the way, next Friday, a buddy of mine is going to come on with us. His name is Todd.
Okay.
He's a veteran.
And
he's into a little bit of the spiritual healing and stuff like that as well. He's going to come down we're going to go to the protest there, the rally there on Friday.
Yeah.
And after that, we're all going to trek back up here to do the podcast Friday evening.
Cool, man, because there are going to be people camping out all weekend, eh?
Oh, fuck, here we go. So,
yeah.
I'll link up awesome. With you. I'll link up with you on Friday if you're going to be at the rally.
Well, I'm around, man. I work in the morning. Then I'm good to go.
And then we'll head out to the rally, and then we're going to come here and hang out with you guys. Probably go back down to the rally. He asked me about it today, and I was like, "Yeah, man.
We'll be supporting our brothers and sisters."
Yeah.
Oh man, there's some polarization going on over that.
Oh man, the people you can start playing there, Flynn. Sorry.
Yep.
Just walk us in until you start feeling the mood.
Whopper to us, baby.
As always, in case you guys didn't know, we have our boy Flynn back here playing on the bass there. He's going to play a little bit of
That's Flynn, folks.
Yep, mood music for us. Let's give him a little bit more.
Little bass in your face,
yeah. Get them coming out of both speakers now. Oh yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna load us up so we can see some comments and people that jump on and do what. And
oh, cool! Like right on, man.
I'm gonna send some invites out, see if we can get some people on the phone. Why don't you?
Cool.
So here, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Sure.
About shredding.
Shred guitar. That was going to be our theme 2 weeks ago, and here we are. But we're still learning, yeah.
So, what is shredding to you, and how did you come about learning how to shred properly?
Well, shredding to me was our colloquial term. Well, it was originally a term for skateboarding and for snowboarding when I was a kid.
Facts.
But we're referring to guitar. And it's usually heavy metal lead. Shredding is heavy metal lead. That's what I always grew up, right? And guys who could play shredders would be like the classic early guys would be like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, but Randy Rhoads, and or even earlier than that, like Richie Blackmore would be a shredder, and some of those guys, right? But of course, it really came to be popular in the 80s when shred guitar was the thing. Everybody wanted to be a shredder. You had Eddie Van Halen, you had Steve Vai, you had Joe Satriani, of course, one of the classic shredders, one of the first one of the big names, all those guys. You had George Lynch, of course, the Megadeth guys. You had, what's his name, Dave Mustaine, Marty Friedman. You had, of course, Kurt Hammett.
Don't forget about fucking Slayer.
That's right, Slayer.
Fucking Slayer.
Tom Murray was the bass player. Kerry King, right?
Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman.
Jeff Hanneman, that's the other
both of them. We can't forget about, basically. Can't forget about anybody in the 80s that was thrash metal, because that's basically where shredding
I
started.
used to love Exodus. Remember those guys? They were a lot of fun. I had a book. My first experience with shredding, it was other than like watching on TV, was when I bought my first guitar in 1990 or 91. Probably 1990. Might have been 91. I was living in Germany, the army base. We used to go to school at this used to be an old Nazi base back in the day. It was an old German base, and the Canadians took it over. And it was crazy, all these secret doors, all kinds of weird shit. It was awesome. We used to go every day for lunch. We'd go over to the Concern, which is like the Canex, and you'd have the grocery store. We'd go get a bunch of whatever the hell teenagers eat, And we'd go and drive the poor people at the Canex nuts. We'd go look at the comics and get comic books and guitar magazines, and I used to get hip-hop magazines. I got the first issue of Source. And there was this stereo section in this one room in the back. And you'd go into the back room, and it was both sides of this garage. And it was, of course, where they would demo all the kick-ass speakers, where all the army bucks making all their overseas money would buy these huge stereos and speakers and surround sounds when that was all coming out. And they had a couple guitars. And I remember there was this red, pointy headstock Jackson-looking thing, which is a famous shred brand for those who don't know. And they had this kind of white Stratocaster-looking one. And every kid and their dog used to go in and play on that stupid old guitar. And we would just, and these little amps, and we would just play those plays. Well, anyways, then the Berlin Wall fell. So they were closing everything. They were gutting all the stuff. So they were clearing out the stuff. And I used to work at the butcher shop. So I had some money. And I went in and I bought a Sun Mustang guitar. Kind of a candy, a pearl white. With this Sun Mustang little 25-watt amp. For all the guitar players who know, like the Fender Frontmans.
Oh, yes.
Probably a 15-watt amp. So it was a Sun Mustang. Now, I found out later on, Sun Mustang in the late 80s was the modern equivalent of like Squire in Europe. So guys in like England and Germany and Holland and stuff,
yep.
When we would have been buying Squires when they came out with the Sun brand, and Mustang was this kind of guitar. Even though it's not a Mustang style guitar. It was a Strat. It was a hum single Strat. And to go with it, I bought this book by a guy named Troy Stetina. I used to call him Troy Stetina. I don't know which one it is. But he went to school with Marty Friedman. And it was this book called Heavy Metal Tricks. I lent it to a guy here in Armagh named Lee something, and I never did get it back, although I got another copy of a similar one. And it had a tape that came with it. And I tried to learn some of the stuff I learned what harmonics were, and I learned a couple little things and a couple little stuff, not much. But what I used to do is I would take a tape, and on my Ghetto Blaster, they had all these like little demo songs. There was one called The Beast and something else. And I took all those songs and I put them on a tape so I could listen to them in a row, not just all the like number 7, beep, boom, woo, number 8, so I didn't know how to play a chord or nothing, a power chord even, but I learned how to tap and learned all this stupid shit. So when I think of shredding, I think of that. My old Mustang, I still got it. I still got the amp. I lent it to a buddy. I'll get that back. The curly cord is long gone. And yeah, Heavy Metal Tricks. That's what I think of when I think of shredding. And, buying old guitar magazines. When I moved back to Canada, I was here for a couple of years in high school. And my buddy Archie McIsaac showed me how to play Thunderstruck, which we thought was the fucking coolest thing ever.
You used to think that was shredding, didn't you? Well,
that came out when I was in Germany. I bought that CD. And, at the time, that kind of was. Like, that was AC/DC made a big comeback kind of thing at the time. And, everybody makes fun of it now, but I guarantee, even all the shredders, if they don't admit that they probably learned it and played it in their little 80s bands running around or 90s bands, they're lying. Because it was so cool.
Dude,
so cool, right?
I headbanged with AC/DC.
Of course.
I only stopped liking AC/DC when I learned how to play music. Because, well, it's not that I stopped liking them, it's that you grow past them.
Yeah, you got into other stuff. Yeah,
right. It's not that they're bad.
I still love their old stuff.
It's just simplistic guitar playing. Their leads are really good, but a lot of the rhythms and everything is simplistic and old school, right? So it's one of the stepping stocks that stepping stones that everybody steps on their way to learning how to play guitar.
Yeah.
And one of the other things is shredding.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And we're talking about...
And he was a precursor shredder. He was one of the early shredders, right?
Yeah.
That real hyper-fast blues, and he had neat little licks, But then the later on guys brought that other level of technicality and complexity and speed. And yet, I still would rather listen to Angus Young play a guitar solo. He's still one of the most melodic players of any instruments going. Like, how many guitar solos can you picture? Yeah, shut me all night long. Can you picture that solo? Little bends, right? And if we played it right now, the recording, just like a song you grew up with as a kid, you can't think of the words, but when the song's playing along, you can. Yeah, guaranteed, we'd be able to mouth along note for note to that solo. You know what I mean? It's that melodic, yeah. So,
it's weird watching ourselves on.
I know, we got a delay on the other camera. So what do you think of, what was the second question? I don't know if I shredding, and what was the other one? I think that was it.
You answered it all. Like, what does it mean to you, I guess? Yeah. I did the woman thing, and I asked 2 questions in one question.
So what's shredding to you, brother?
Well, because I'm more of a rhythm guy, I'm not like a lead. Like, I can do some leads, especially like slower melodic leads. Shredding did start with leads, but for me, shredding is more, like those fast, chuggy rhythms.
Like the metal side, I suppose. I know I was associated instantly with just lead. But really, the rhythm...
That's where it started, right? It started with the leads.
I cut most of my teeth doing that, too. I was always a rhythm guy. I never really had the leads, Like, I could do it, but yeah. Okay,
but listen to a lot of the, like, especially the newer thrashier metal songs, like, especially... Let's put it this way. You got thrash, right? And then you got what turned into like a refined thrash where it didn't sound thrashy anymore, and they cleaned it up in the 90s there.
I grew up on thrash. That was metal when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was thrash.
See, that whole thing to me is shredding. Like Dimebag's rhythms were shredding.
Yeah.
Look at the art of shredding. I was actually listening to that today, too, and it came on. I was like, oh, we're going to be talking about shredding today. I should bring up The Art of Shredding by Pantera.
Oh, it's a song. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're not familiar with The Art of Shredding?
No. I was never a huge Pantera guy. I like some of the big ones, but I don't know. It's okay. I always loved Dimebag Darrell, though.
Dimebag Darrell is one of a kind.
And the drummer. Well, actually, like the band. I guess Phil and Selma. I was like, that's okay. It just
when you take away Phil's attitude and the way that he's been portrayed over the years and the things that he's done, that he's even sorry that he did himself.
Yeah, probably.
You take that out of the
different times too, right? I mean, those were
like when Pantera was Pantera before Pantera fell apart. Like Pantera was like
their videos they used to have, the antics they would get up to backstage with the black tooth grin, Oh man, all that stuff. Hilarious. They were like skate videos for
metal.
Yeah, back before Jackass.
There were vulgar videos. I remember them throwing a TV
right,
shit. I think it was a TV out of the window or out of the window of a hotel or something.
Remember there was one they turned with Crowbar, and the guy from Crowbar was just Crowbar or some other. I don't think it was Crowbar. It was a band like that or something. Anyways, one of the guys in the band was just this big muscle-bound dude, and they used to paint him in green, and he'd run around like the Hulk and just rip doors off shit and just destroy stuff.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
But to me, shredding is a lot more than just the leads, because the leads are fast and quick, but the leads have to be fast because that's what the tempo is. To me, shredding is more like when you're listening to a song and you feel like you're cutting through something. You know what I mean? Like you're cutting through it, and you're not thrashing through the wood, you're shredding through it. Like so those really clean and refined rhythm lines that you find where it's like probably a little faster than that, but Fear Factory would be good. Like Fear Factory rhythms would be good shredding rhythms.
Yeah.
And
They were kind of that later.
That's not really fast, but it still has that shreddy feeling to it. You know what I mean?
If you describe it like that, I can see it. I always associate it with the traditional view, which was like it was the lead guys, you know.
Yeah. Well, then you get
but yeah, the
get
rhythm
into like
was
Cannibal
there,
Corpse.
right?
Like listen to Cannibal Corpse. Those sound like buzzsaws, right? That's shredding.
But also leads that were. Yeah, they were always super technical, and death was super technical. Death metal itself always had a lot of shredding.
And that's the way I view it too.
And I remember playing a show with a Quebec band called Martyr.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. We were in their band Fear Absolute, and everybody was pretty good. We were super tight. We practiced a lot, you know. And we were kind of the tight band around, and we were kind of thought we were pretty cool. Then these fucking guys come from Quebec. And we're warming up, playing like, I call it Montreal Jazz Fest. Jazz, you know? You know, this sort of stuff. And when these fucking guys launched off into their shit, oh my God. It was just a whole other level of technical. You know, it's like if anyone's into jiu-jitsu, you got your black belt, you got your instructor, and you got these guys, and they're all pretty good. They're kicking your ass. And then you have these like touring clinicians who come in who are on like high-level competitor dudes who are just a whole other fucking level of jiu-jitsu, you know? And that's what these guys were like. We were just like, whoa, because even the rhythm was amazing and tight and just wacky and super nice guys, super laid back. But the minute they turned on, it was just like all night up 1,000,000 kilowatts. It was nuts.
Yeah. And see, that's what it's all about. That I find that here in New Brunswick, that's one thing that we lack is that straight up competitive edge. Because I just find that because there's not very many people, it just doesn't generate the competition needed in order to drive yourself into that level of what you're talking about right there.
Well, yeah, we had the punk scene though, and punk's different.
Punk is different.
And I don't know. At the time, it was like Quebec had the metal, but the East Coast, we had the punk, and they couldn't. We had it, man. From gutter punk to regular punk to punk pop. Fucking everything. I don't know, man. And you know, that was our thing, but that was the scene.
Yeah.
So all the kids coming up, that was the scene. We're in Quebec. Metal was the scene, and then you had those guys all were from Trois-Rivières, and so they all went to jazz school. They were all these metalheads, but they're like, well, we're going to go to jazz school. We're going to study our instruments and become amazing at it, knowing full well the whole time. They're like, because we're going to be the best shred band you ever saw. You know? And yeah, it was cool. But yeah, and that's important for metal. It's tough to get to that level without a scene, right?
Yeah, and it does. And the other thing about metal is, you have to be good.
Yep.
Like you have to be good at what you're doing. It has to sound tight. It has to sound clean.
Yep.
People have the music has to be like fucking.
And you can do a lot in your bedroom. You can shred, you can woodshed.
Yeah.
But I think even in a style like metal, you know, it's nice to say, oh, well, the kid just in his basement can figure it out. Well, kind of, yeah, but it's sort of like a jiu-jitsu or martial arts or boxing or something. You can be tough in your town, but you've got to go to that next level and compete with other high-level people. And I think that's one of the real keys, because you can't just say, oh, well, kids born in Quebec are just naturally more dexterous. They're born for metal. It was like, no, fuck off. That's all bullshit. They're just a bunch of fucking kids like everyone else. But because that was the scene, and you had all these jazz schools, these high-level musicians, it's a culture. It generates, and they can lean on each other, and all these great instructors, and such a great music scene. And
Right outside of Montreal, one of the
Just-
biggest
yeah.
music cities in the world.
Yeah.
Right? One of the most, it's an internationally known city.
And there was what was the big metal bar in Montreal for years? It was is it like a circus or circus something, or fuck, it's not Cirque du Soleil. Fuck, I can't remember. It was this kick-ass bar. I never played there. We never did that shit. But they'd be bringing in international acts and stuff. So that's the thing, right? Like, and I would get the kids all pumped up. Oh, we got somebody watching.
Yeah, we got somebody on the chat there.
Hello!
I can't even read it with my glasses, even though we're so close.
Loella R. Vico. Good morning. Guten Morgen, Loella.
Good morning. I believe you're in from the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
Somebody
Cool.
I'm talking to. I sent a bunch of invites out.
That'd be a neat place to check out.
Philippines would be.
You'd love to come visit you.
Yep.
What's the name of the capital city of the Philippines? It's a huge, huge place. And it totally escapes me now. Sorry. Darn.
Well, it happens.
Yeah.
So speaking about shredding, those truckers are really shredding.
Although, speaking of Philippines, they got a killer music scene there. Holy shit, man. I've met some crazy musicians from over there.
Talk about
My God. I just met a few local folks, but I remember one buddy of mine, his wife was from there. He's a local sound guy. And he was telling me about, there was a couple local tribute bands. There was these guys who did an Eagles tribute, and he's like, they just, close your eyes, it was the Eagles. And then there was these girls, and they would do, I forget what they did. One girl's specialty was Celine Dion. Anyways, just as a kick-ass music scene over there. Yeah,
okay.
Big time. Super. Some singers coming out of the Philippines that would just fucking scare you. Who's the one? He's from the Philippines, I think. The guy who's singing for, not Toto. Darn it. I don't know any of the classic bands. I've been just like jazz for so long. You'll know who I'm talking about. The guy's amazing. He does, what's the name of that song? Oh, it's the one, just a small town girl living in a lonely world.
Austin. No, that's Journey.
Journey, yes.
Just a small town girl.
So that guy is from the
living in
Philippines.
a lonely world.
Yeah. That's a pretty good example.
It took the midnight train going anywhere.
He sings exactly like you.
Yeah. If his lungs kept
But
giving out.
we were talking about shredding. So, shredding, wild stuff, man.
What's your favorite shred band? Or shred
Shred-
artist? Shredder.
When I think of shredding, I think of like a shredder. So I'd be like, okay, there's this guitar player. So, for example, I'm not the hugest Pantera fan. But when it comes to leads, Dimebag Darrell's right up there. But
when it comes to just guitar playing, he's up there.
Yeah, as like the shredder, his leads they're so weird and wacky, these diminished runs and big dive bombs, and he's so clean and interesting. Just you never know which direction they're gonna go. It's quirky. I really like that. He's good. I mean, everybody loves John Petrucci and all this kind of stuff. He's one of the big cats. But
Dream Theater, for those who don't know
Yeah.
what that is.
who else? Kurt Hammond. I mean, some people trash him. I don't know, some of the guys, because they don't like it once this band becomes popular, this and that. But I don't know, they were cool, I thought they were neat solos and interesting stuff.
Always loved Metallica, and I'll never put Kurt Hammond.
Zach Wilde, it's got a neat, very unique style. Again, you can just tell it's him, and that crazy pentatonic thing. And but there's also like the sort of jazz fusion rock guys, like Frank Gambale, the Australian guy, who is he came out playing with Miles Davis in the 70s, and he's just off the chain. But my favorite guy of that style I used to like was John McLaughlin.
Really?
Yeah, the Mahavishnu Orchestra. We used to listen to him all the time. And it was him and a guy named Jean-Luc Ponty on violin, playing like electric violin, and John would do these sick shred things. and he just had this spoken kind of fusion hard rock band. Crazy. I always liked him. I thought he was cool. But more so, I didn't really pick the artist. I would kind of, my thing was I used to go, when I first came back here in 91, I started playing guitar like real heavy in like 95 after I graduated high school, went out west. So 95, 96 type thing. And I would go to every secondhand bookstore and buy the guitar magazines. All. Anyone they had, I'd buy them.
I used to do that a lot.
Oh, the secondhand ones, right? Yeah, and and bought all the new ones that came out. I just got collections and collections and collections, and then I would cut them out. So like I would take, I don't have all of them because I got rid of a lot. But after a while, after reading them, you had too many. I cut out all the instruction sections and all the lessons, and I have a binder about this thick, full of all these old ones because a lot of them I couldn't do. So you'd learn the stuff you could do, and then every 5 years I'd kind of go back and go through like, am I advanced enough to learn something from this? Am I advanced enough to learn something from this? You know? And and then I took a lot of lessons too. Like, well, I knew 5 or 6 different teachers. I'd stick with them for a couple months. They'd show me what they had to show me, and then I'd go home and do it.
Teeter off.
Yeah.
Well, that's what music is, right? Like one person asked me one time, "Isn't it best to just have one person teach you?" I was like, "No, that's not how music works. It's not the military. It's not like firing a gun."
Yeah.
Because that was the problem I ran into trying to teach people how to play bagpipes.
Okay.
Because it was military orientated, they thought that they could teach people music the same way that they taught you how to fire a rifle.
Yeah, not that.
And
There's so much finesse involved.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. It takes so much finesse. It takes so many man hours. It just takes tedious fucking time of just months.
And alternate
Pain
angle.
and anger
angles.
and fucking.
I always found like with modes,
Goddamn table.
the modes and that sort of thing, like the approach to shredding. There's so many different angles. You
Sorry, I
know,
had a brain melt.
yeah, no worries. You got to look at it from different angles too, like music theory. Sometimes it's just not always so simple, straight ahead. You need that other way to think of it. Right?
Yeah, you need somebody to come in and be like, "Hey, why don't you look at it from this angle?"
Yeah, exactly.
Because I read, like, what happened to me is I read a whole bunch of theory books. So I knew, or I thought I knew a whole bunch of theory. And I did.
Yeah.
But the way I learned it was all over the place and jumbled because I taught myself from reading books.
Yeah.
But then I went in and saw a guy that I started learning how to produce from.
Yeah.
And all he did is he did the right thing that connected the right dots where my brain just went, and then everything in my brain all lined up. And I even watched him look at me and go, "You know way more than I thought you did.
Yeah.
You know way more than you let on."
It's crazy when it clicks, eh?
I was just like, that's because I needed I needed all the dots connected. You connected that last dot that just lined everything up. I'm like,
I had a teacher like that, Lloyd Hansen, who said,
that's actually who connected the dots.
"Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lloyd's great." And that's what he did for me. He kind of was like, he's like, okay, we had a chat, you know, and he kind of knew a little bit what I knew, and then I kind of filled him in. So he went, okay, and I went out for the lesson. I had 2 or 3 of them. I think it was 2. Anyways, he was real good to me. And just kind of went. And then after going through him, and he sent me to work, and then it was just like, I would have liked to have gone back for a few more. I still might one of these days. But, I had so many things kind of jumbled up. But he straightened it all out. Then I could sit down and really work and really apply it to my instrument, to the music I had been playing and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, great guy. I really like Lloyd. There's some other great shredders in town too. Like I learned from a guy named Dave Story, who's like a country gospel kind of shred type guy. But he would have cut his teeth in the early days on things like Huey Lewis and the News, all those kind of 80s rock bar bands, you know?
Yeah.
But he showed me a lot of cool stuff there too. A little bit from a guy named Bugsy Brown, old country player, who's like a country shredder type guy. But like sort of like from the 70s, 80s era shredder type thing. He grew up with Dutchy Mason.
Okay.
So blues shred, and I kind of got into a lot of blues, jazz. I don't really have a jazz teacher per se. I had a guy in England, Dave Kelby, gave me one lesson actually, which was again enough to just He's like, well, if you're into gypsy jazz, what's your philosophy on blues and country? I'm like, well, you should listen to the old stuff first, and then you can figure out the new stuff. He's like, perfect. So let's do that with gypsy jazz. And he showed me some basic stuff. I'm like, okay. And I just worked on it for a decade. Now I can go back and watch the videos of him playing with these top-notch European players and kind of go, okay, yeah, cool, I can do that now.
I get that.
That's one of my dreams Sundays, like, hey, Dave, can you send me to work? Rhythm player looking for work. You know anyone who needs a backup? You know?
Gypsy jazz.
Yeah. One of my biggest regrets was getting on a plane coming back to Canada. I should have just stayed in England. Oh.
Well, you live, you learn, and obviously the universe wanted you back in Canada because look where we are now.
Yeah. Waiting for freedom.
I almost spit my water all over the computer and everything. Holy.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, because we are free, but apparently we're
someone
not.
else. What? Hello.
Medic, sure.
Hello, Vanek. How are you?
Hello. Welcome to Sunday night.
Yep.
We're sitting here talking about music, and today's topic is shredding, which apparently we found out can be done over many genres and not just metal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like I saw when I was in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of bad afterwards, but I watched this guy, and he was a bluegrass player, and I can't remember his name. They brought him all the way over from, I think he was from Canada. He was from the East Coast, I believe.
What do you look like?
An old fella, just
Wasn't a great big fat
old
guy.
white. It was a big fat guy with a big white beard.
And a bluegrass player. Did he play fingerstyle?
I don't think so. I was also pretty far away from the stage to see whether he was playing finger or pick.
Okay.
And I was also kind of wandering around talking to my buddy at the same time, and we just kind of happened to wander by him on one of our trips back into camp from out in the sticks. So, but I ended up coming across him, and he shredded. I was just amazed. I was just like, wow, he just shredded that acoustic guitar. I was like, wow, look at you go.
I wonder if it was J.P. Cormier.
It might have been. I don't know.
He's one of the.
I don't want to say that.
He's a bluegrass East Coast kind of finger picking Chet Atkins monster, who is completely convinced he would think that we're insane and we're causing the pandemic. Also, because the poor bugger's just got that in his mind that. But like a lot of these musicians,
did you see
take
the video?
this and you can go play gigs again.
Did you?
Okay, and then took the carrot. And of course, once they did it, and then they've been on Facebook for a year telling everybody to get their shot.
No,
So now, what do you do? Well, I guess I better dig in. You know.
Did you see what Did you see the Howard Stern video I posted?
No.
About how Howard Stern was talking about how everybody unvaccinated shouldn't be allowed in the hospital because they're not listening to their government. Howard Stern
said
that's
not hypocritical.
People should listen to their government when they tell them things that don't make any fucking sense, or they shouldn't be allowed in the hospital. And then he said they should just die.
Well, he always was kind of a big mouth idiot.
That's I expected a little bit better from Howard fucking Stern, but then again, he's a puppet. He doesn't make that much.
I wouldn't expect much from Howard Stern at all. That guy, I never did like him. I always found him annoying.
That's very true.
The big mouth New York kind of guy. Like, who cares?
Look at me.
Yeah, just stupid, dumb sex jokes and stuff. And, you know, it was funny when you were 14 and you're like 70, buddy. So I don't know. Like that stuff. I'm not into that kind of humor. So to each his own.
I stopped watching it.
Right? Some people love it and they think it's great. You know.
I stopped listening to it years ago, but at the same time, you'd hope that somebody like at that status would be like, okay, I think we should clue in here. But no, doubling down, just like all the other artists, pressuring Spotify. So Spotify removed a bunch of episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience.
Good luck with that. You know, they'll come around eventually, or they'll be drugged around. I mean,
well, they got no choice now because the convoy's going to DC.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Convoy's going to DC, and that's just how it is.
Yep.
And even Dwayne The Rock Johnson has turned on fucking Joe Rogan.
Did he? Yeah.
Everybody's turning around, man. But
you mean turned around, turned against Joe, or turned with him?
Turned against.
Turned against. Oh yeah.
He got canceled. Want some peanuts?
No, I'm good. Thanks, buddy. I'm back on the keto diet.
Oh, good for you.
All I'm eating is I was kind of just wasn't feeling quite right. And I got the new job. I'm working at a gym in the mornings, still teaching lessons now.
Oh, yeah.
But it's quite, it's cool. It's, I was ill for a while. I'm kind of getting back on my feet. And so it was the perfect job. I needed to do light cardio a little more. And you only have so many hours in the day, right? So,
do you have like a free membership or something?
well, no, but I mean, I work there. So I'm cleaning all the equipment and doing the floors and organizing. You got to go through and you got to pick up all the weights and make sure everything's in its place. And then if the deadlift things are out of the way, you pick them up. So, I could roll them, but I'm like, but it's 90 pounds. But what's the bar? Like 25, so I guess 100 some pounds. I mean, I'll just deadlift it, pick it up, and put it back. And I got to tell you, by the end of the week, I felt like $1 million. Like I needed a little extra cardio, all kinds of core muscle.
You get moving.
Yeah, not to mention shoveling the driveway 3 times Friday morning before noon. And then the day before we had rainstorms, so there was like ice this thick, like 3 fingers. So hauled out the chipper and scraped all that off.
Welcome to the East Coast.
Yeah. Then yesterday I was supposed to go to a woodlot workshop on how to maintain woodlots and do stuff. I'm getting into chainsawing and stuff like that. That's what I spent all day.
Did you get into chainsaw sculpting?
Yeah, eventually, yes. I gotta get a better chainsaw. I chopped down 2 huge ass pines today. That was kind of fun. One was the biggest tree I've ever chopped down. Which now to anyone who chops down trees, they're gonna laugh at me, but it was probably like 12 inches circumference. But it's probably an 80-foot tree, and I've never cut one down that big before. My saw is not the best. I was like, okay, a little nervous. It's a big tree, but she came down. But yesterday, though, I was supposed to go to this woodlot workshop thing. So learning how to, select good trees, which one's a cut, which one's not, which one's good for firewood, which is this, blah, 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 blah. Stuff from actually a kick-ass drummer who's going to put it on, but of all things. But it was canceled because the end of the storm, it wasn't canceled, but the storm was too nuts. I wasn't going to go drive an hour and a half in this like whiteout conditions.
No.
So I ended up going by my old work, and they were cleaning off all the cars. And I was like, you know what? They're short-staffed, so guys are on holidays. So I hung out there for 4 hours and cleaned off cars. So I've just been going physical at it, so I'm beat. But I go to bed at 9:30 at night. I'm up at 5. I wanted to get back in yoga. To your advice, he said, well, go get a Gaia subscription. There's all kinds of yoga and cool stuff you can look up that I'm interested in. Astrology crystals, yoga history, all kinds of energy. Yeah, all that cool stuff. I'm going to be digging into the Joe Dispenza series soon.
Good.
But, so I've been doing yoga every morning before I go to work. So I get up, do some yoga, have a little breakfast, and go exercising. And it's been really good. Really, really good. So I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. I think I went to beginner level 1 yoga. I thought, okay, I'm going to stretch out and get my core muscles. Just make sure as I go back on this journey. For those who don't know me, I'm a pretty physical guy. I like doing martial arts. I like doing labor work. I always have. Jumping, swimming, carrying on, acting the fool. I'm a very physical person. And getting more so every year, the more I embrace it more. I used to do construction, contract work, all kinds of stuff. So I don't want to injure myself and lose out on all the fun.
Yeah.
So my concept was, I'm going to do this yoga every morning because it's good for the mind and good for meditation. And I want to build up my core muscles properly. And now I'm back into cross-country skiing and stuff. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do the yoga. And it's been great. I'm getting up earlier every morning, and I'm really getting excited. Found a teacher on there, Rodney Yee, that I really like.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's really, really good. So, they got all kinds of fantastic ones. And I've been watching their series on like the types of yoga, just to kind of learn about traditional history yoga. I think I'm on episode 6.
There's 7 schools of yoga.
Yeah. So I was looking at the Kundalini, the Hatha, what else?
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah. Because you do yoga, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I study yoga, but it's hard for me to explain it though, because I don't memorize any of the sayings. Right. Because I like to be able to explain it in my own way.
Sure.
Because a lot of those sayings, I don't speak that language.
Right.
So I understand the concepts, and I understand, and I know the names of the yoga practices that I'm learning. Like Tantra is one of the ones that I'm learning. The Kundalini yoga.
So an interesting thing on Tantra. Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot more deeper than I was aware of. I thought it was like tantric sex. That's it, and that's the smallest part.
That's the tip of the iceberg. That's what gets everybody in.
Yeah.
When you look at
over
Tantra,
in the West, anyways.
Yeah, when you look at Tantra, it's actually closer to Qigong.
Okay, yeah.
And or maybe even more a little bit of Reiki.
Well, the way they described it on the episode I just watched, like 2 days ago, was you'd have like a lot of yoga was designed for these yogis, these people on a spiritual journey they do this full time. Like, they're like, you're going to be a priest, you're going to be a this, you're going to be that. And a lot of it might require celibacy, or it might require this, or require that. Where Tantra was more for people in the home. You're married with kids, you've got a job, you're just a normal Joe. And it was yoga for the normal Joe. So thus where
a little bit like
it would have the sex connection. It would have Tantra in life, Tantra in this, Tantra in that. That's how they describe it, is one way. It was a system that was approachable for everybody. I thought it was kind of neat. It was a neat way to describe it.
I understand that. That's not the way I was taught.
Okay.
Like, the way I was taught is it's its own separate school.
Yeah, but that was the idea that it was
yeah.
Right?
But, I'll take that into consideration now because I haven't even come across that.
There's an episode on Gaia all about Tantra, and that's how they described it.
But it makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah,
because they're all different schools, and the thing is that all 7 schools kind of all revolve around the same thing,
right?
And it's all basically the way I was explained, like yoga as a whole. Basically, each school represents a different chakra,
right?
So that would make sense what you're talking about, because Tantra being the sacral chakra would be the second chakra, so it would be a little bit more accessible to the lower dimensional. I'm saying this in a weird way. Lower dimensional thinking in the lower dimensional areas of life, because that's all lower dimensional stuff, right? Like, so that would make a lot of sense when you describe it that way. But that's how I came across it or that's at least how it was explained to me, or that's how I interpreted it. So each school of yoga is a different version or a different chakra. It basically corresponds with a different chakra of your body.
Yeah, this is neat. Like I said, I'm just digging into it. But they had some different stuff. There was because they had Hatha yoga, which is far more physical. And they were saying, well, Hatha yoga, we see it over here as being this gentle, flowing thing. But Hatha actually means to struggle, I believe, or a difficult struggle in Sanskrit. I don't know if it's in Sanskrit or what language. But there's no such thing as Indian. There's different languages, right? There's Punjabi, there's Tamil. Anyway, so that's how they were describing it. It means like it's a difficult struggle, So Hatha, and the idea you're doing these difficult poses, you're only focusing on the pose, so your mind is focused. So you're concentrating, you're not all stretched all over the place. What was it? There's Roya, it's Royal Yoga. Which one that?
Denny says that he gave you a PRS Factory Tour DVD that he lent to you, and he hasn't seen it yet.
Well, I have some boxes of DVDs. I probably still have it, buddy.
Well, there you go. Through.
I go through. I haven't gone through them in a long time. I have a couple. I've got old CDs. I remember I got some from my buddy, drummer Al Hovey. I used to do a radio show called True Local Music, which I only played, or True Local Radio, and I only played local artists from our city. That was the deal. And I still have a box of those somewhere. Yeah, I'll check it out. But yeah, yoga, back interesting stuff.
Anyway, here, not here. I was going to look up Hatha yoga. How do you spell it? Do you remember?
Hatha, Hatha.
That's what I thought.
Hatha yoga.
Hatha yoga.
Yeah, the difficult struggle, because that's the one with all the crazy poses. And then what's the other one? Roya or something. It means royal yoga. And there's Kundalini. And the Kundalini is interesting. What
It
else?
says Hatha Yoga is a branch of yoga. The Sanskrit word means Hatha literally means force, and thus alludes to the system of physical techniques. Which is basically what you described.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying to you.
What other kinds they got there? Types of yoga.
Well, let's do this. Duck, duck, go is where I go to.
Duck, duck, go, baby.
Duck, duck, go, bitches!
No Google it on here.
Even though we're on YouTube.
Yeah, but you can't do no Google search. Unless you want, I don't know, if you're shopping for products and you want to see what's popular.
Well, you could Google fucking schools of yoga and it would give you the right answer.
Yeah, some stuff I'll Google. I don't care. But nothing related to news. That's for damn sure.
No.
Or even shopping. I just want to find out. I don't really want to know. Although apparently DuckDuckGo isn't all it's cracked up to be. There's some better ones that are far less biased than even DuckDuckGo.
Well, DuckDuckGo ended up getting bought out, I think, by Google.
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken.
But it's still a little bit better.
Yes.
To what degree, I don't know. There it is.
Yeah, what Flynn's doing. Oh, just a time check for you. It's 9 o'clock.
Okay, cool. Gotta go to bed soon. 5 a.m. comes early. Luckily, I
might have to Google it because it's not giving me any straight
slept in
answers.
till 7 today. Terrible. Well, maybe 1:45. But I was pretty tired, man. There was a lot of snow removal yesterday and the day before. Holy crow, my first week at the new job. But it's good. It's good. I may even kick a little calisthenics after work tomorrow. I think I'm going to crack out, if I have time, I hope I will. Might crack out the skipping rope.
We got Hatha Yoga. Okay, that's
We got Hatha.
right.
That's force, the difficult one. Which can be done nice and smooth. Too.
Raja.
Raja, that's royal yoga. Yeah.
It's defined as the path to union.
Path to union, yeah.
Kundalini Yoga,
Kundalini, okay, yeah.
which is a rising of the Kundalini energy from your root chakra to your crown.
Yep.
Karma Yoga, which is where you look at all of the things that have happened to you and that you've done.
Karma yoga.
Yeah, it means action of yoga to union. Therefore, Karma Yoga is neither an ordinary act nor an altruistic activity.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how to pronounce this, but Jana Yoga or Nana with a J at the beginning of it. Nana Yoga.
Yana.
Yep. Oh, Yana Yoga means knowledge or wisdom. So that must be the study of the mind. Bhakti Yoga.
Bhakti yoga, okay.
Spiritual devotion.
Ooh.
And that's it.
Okay.
Well, they don't have Tantra in it. That's weird.
Hmm.
Maybe I went over it. Oh, no, wait, there's another one too, right? Oh, maybe I'm on the wrong site. It's not very straightforward. I just picked the right one.
Well, and then there's shred yoga.
Oh, there we go. The 7 schools of yoga here. But I'll see how this shred. See, that would be one of the 7. That would be one of the 7 chakras of metal yoga.
You got a pick on it?
Over here, dude.
All right, let's see if we can. This crazy low-tuned guitar. So you have your standard pentatonic shred yoga. Let's see. So that's this guy. And you can do the forward and back scale. And of course, there's a 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And then there's the miss a note scale. The blues scale. which is also your minor pentatonic, is also the relative major. That's really annoying. You got your 1, your 4 is here. It's not really in there, so everybody tends to add that. And of course, your major scale, of course, if you really want to get into your modes. All your hammer-ons. And then, my personal new kind of favorite is the arpeggios, right? They're kind of a fun one.
Kundalini yoga is actually a form of hatha yoga. It's taught in
okay.
Which makes a lot of fucking sense.
Here's a neat arpeggio one. I learned this from Draco Pastorius, but it's also a typical one. Instead of doing them in order like a 1-3-5, which is the first, third, and fifth degrees of the scale, it's kind of going 1-5-3. And there's some really fun kind of stuff. You end up getting this kind of Bach thing going on. You know, it's kind of tricky to play on this thing. It reminds me of Ave Maria.
I was going to say, what was that? Was that someone classical? Was that a classical
Crap, I'm forgetting how I used to play it. I used to do this on bass. But yeah, the arpeggios, they get into those. And then, of course, the shred guys, though, would do like the arpeggio on one string. So instead of like just going up the scale, you can, well, that's actually skipping it up, going like 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, right? But then, so, but then they'll start. Never was any good at that stuff. And then the real neat thing the old trick guys used to do is this. They'd do the arpeggio on 2 strings up top, like. So you're gonna do like 1, 7, 6, 5. Well, 1's a major. 7's a diminished, so 1 flat 3 flat 5. Then 6 minor, 5 major. So that's how those old like Iron Maiden-y things would go, right? They'd be like, how'd that it go? Let's see. There it is. And how does it go? There it is.
So here's the
I can't play
question.
this on this acoustic. I'm all lost. I haven't done it in a week.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more question. Then we'll probably shut her down because I know you gotta get to bed early.
Yes, I do.
All right, it's 10 after 9. Right, we're only doing an hour today. No, you can keep the guitar in your hand because you may need the guitar.
Oh, okay.
All right, don't put the guitar down. I'm in charge.
Okay. Bring it on. Bring it on, baby.
So, question is, I'm a new guy.
Okay.
I want to learn how to shred. What's the first thing you're going to tell me, show me, exercise you're going to
I
give
would
me?
say the 3 things. 1, finger push-ups. I'm going to show you those.
Finger push-ups.
Because I've taught some kids how to learn how to shred, and they've 20 times surpassed me. Because I know what you got to do. I just don't like doing it because I'm on to other things. I might kind of one of these days crack down and finally become a shredder. But I know what you got to do. It's easy. So the first thing you got to do is get your fingers in shape. Finger push-ups. I'm going to show you that. Second thing would be get to know the modes. And third would be get to know your arpeggios. Once you got those 3 basics covered, then you can specialize and become whatever you want to do. So here's the push-ups.
I'm just going to explain
And
right
you start
quick.
with singles and doubles and triples. Go ahead.
What Chris is doing is he's hitting each note on the fretboard consecutively, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each string, going up and down. And what he means is, just like that. And he's just doing that back and forth. It's one of the same things that I do for a warm-up exercise. I go all the way I start at the top and go all the way down to the 12th, and then back up as a warm-up.
Yeah, and you can even do on one string, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, definitely gonna do that too.
And of course, with a metronome.
With a metronome.
And start slow.
I'm rolling my eyes because I don't use one.
Yeah, it's just you cannot avoid it.
I beat my own drum.
Drummers who don't practice with a metronome, good luck.
Yeah.
You're never going to reach your potential. You're always cheating yourself. Good luck. It's just in some ways, you're kind of wasting your time. And all the great drummers I've met and played with over the years, all the good ones play with a metronome. You got to put in the time. So you do those, the finger push-ups, and you make up little exercises like 1, 2, 3, 4, next string, 2, 3, 4, 5, things like that. Or like, but I only do them for a warm-up. So the modes are you start with the natural notes. Oh, that's my hour clock.
Oh, that's your phone. I'm not used to phones going off around here. I'll put mine on silent. I don't want to be disturbed, so I put it on silent.
So the modes are, on a piano, if you play all the white keys, that's your natural keys. It's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? Then you get your sharps. So what you do is, on the guitar, you learn the natural notes. So in the first position, and you'll notice on the guitar the way it works, you'll get 2 strings of 3 notes, then you'll get a string of 2 with only 2 notes, and you get 3, 3, or so, then 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, depending until you run out of strings. So you get this: E, F, G, then you get A, B, C, then you get D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You're only ever going to get those combinations on guitar. Mm-hmm. The reason why is G, A, B. Well, G, you skip G sharp, you go to A, you skip A sharp, you go to B. So that's 5 frets. Now you can do that later on, but the idea is you have 4 fingers. When you're learning the basic modes, you want to play the guitar so one finger per fret, right? And then later on, if you don't have big hands, well, then go and try to do these big stretches is pointless, or unless you go up high in the neck. But at some point, you got to start somewhere. And so you go like this. You play the different positions. But you really should play each one. So like E to E, F to F, G to G, A to A. And I do them symmetrical. There's 7 notes, plus there's a repeated octave. So you do 8 up, 8 back, right? And I actually like to start slow before you get your left hand going faster. Get your pick hand faster, like this. Now doubles. Triples. Quads. Yeah, you can see I was kind of pushing on the chords. Yeah, right? And then you go F to F, G to G, A to A, B to B. I didn't do the chords that go with it. E minor. Right, and then once you got that, you do all the positions here. Well, there's only, even though there's 7 notes, there's only 5 positions because E and F have no sharp. So there's no 2 positions for the E and F, and B has no sharp, goes to C. So there's this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Right? And then once you got those 5 basic ones, as you change keys, you're just moving them back and forth. And then arpeggios would be another thing we can get into too. But yeah, I would start with that. You know, it's like just get the most. I'll even take a picture of it. I'll write it down, take a picture of it, I'll email it to you.
You don't have to email it to me. It's for them.
It's for them. Well, maybe one of these.
I didn't realize what you
put it
meant.
up here.
I didn't realize what you meant on. Well, we can actually. I have Guitar Pro and everything. We can put it all up in Guitar
that'd be
Pro,
kinda
put
cool.
PDFs.
And you know, it'd be a good excuse. I'll learn to shred with you.
Why
not?
Well, I should correct that. I have to practice shredding, and I'm not saying you don't have things that I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Right. But what we went over right there, I've just never called them finger push-ups before, and that's so I learned.
That's what I just call them because the ideas. And Frank Gambale has a really great series online where he does it, and that's his attitude. It's like you need to get your fingers, so they'll do whatever you can think of your fingers can do. Then worry about the knees.
I'll show you my favorite one.
Okay.
So this is one of the exercises I start.
Yeah, all that stuff, right? That'd be a good sweep beginner exercise too. Yeah.
Which is part of shredding.
Yeah. Sweeping that's one of those things. Yeah, it's super cool. I was never awesome at it, but and it's a matter of putting in the time, right? You just gotta like decide that you're gonna do it. My thing was I found every time I started getting into it, it was interesting, but I just I don't know. I've done a million solos. I can do solos, and I know a lot of people. I've been in bands with. They can solo. They can play fast and stuff, and it sounds good at the time. But then you listen to it, and if you listen to their solo once or twice, or twice in a row, or 3 times in a row in a recording, and you realize it's just a bunch of fast notes. It's not that good. And I just have no interest in doing repetitive, boring things fast. I'm more interested in, it's not to knock anyone, but just for the way I like to do it. I'm more interested in having absolute 100% command of my melodic phrasing.
You want to feel your phrases out.
I'm not into fake it till you make it. I'm not into fake it till you make it with solos. I'm into playing
That's how I play
conviction and direction. Right. And, as a jazz soloist and stuff, and even some of those guys, I've listened to some of the players I play with, And after a while, you realize like, you're just playing through it, and yeah, it kind of works. It's okay. But as you start playing with
I said Flynn did that.
Oh.
Me and him had this argument all the time. We figured it out. It's like Flynn's way of approaching it is slapping it down until you can do it. And my way of doing it is playing it slow until my fingers.
Well, and the thing is, the way I look at it is, you can always turn your brain off and just do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I can do that. That's simple, no problem. But turning your brain on, being able to think it through, is not as easy. And I'm far more interested in that.
See, every time I turn my brain off, I can't do it. Like there was one or two times there where we were just improvising, and I just shredded this fucking line, and it sounded like a perfect shred. I was like, and I stopped, and I went, huh. Then I thought about trying to do it again, and I couldn't.
Well, in metal, that's one of the beauties is that these guys like Kurt Hammett and stuff. I'm sure he can bust off solos. He's probably awesome at it, But the reality is, all those great ones that we really like. Most of those were very methodically assembled.
Yeah.
And the good ones are like that. There's a touch of je ne sais quoi,
Like
there's a bit of improvisation, but they know what they're going to do. They plan it out. I remember seeing it was a Kurt Hammett in the studio years ago, and it was like, oh, that's how they do it. And it makes sense, He's really planning his moves, and he's looking at him, and that's why they sound so good and melodic and stand the test of time. Right?
Here's how I look at it. You use the inspiration and the creative force to find the idea, and then once you get it, you refine it.
Right.
And that's where we get into what you're talking about, where you take the time and you craft. You say, okay, this sounded good at first, but it doesn't now. Maybe I add this note and blah, 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 and you craft this thing perfectly, and that's how you make a sculpture, right?
Yeah.
It's like when you hit a rock in order to make a sculpture. Well, you can see the vision kind of in your head, but you still got to do the fine details in order to chip away all of the pebbles that need to be taken out.
I actually took a couple of saxophone lessons from a really killer jazz player around here, and that's one of the things I was having trouble figuring a solo. And he's like, well, you should just write a solo. I'm like, I don't want to improvise. He's like, oh, that's great, but write one out, and then you'll and I'm paraphrasing, but what he was basically teaching me was, to do what those trick guys do. He's like, okay, well, you don't know all those tricks, but let's just find out one trick. And then, you can always just kind of build on that. And it was a smart way to go. So, yeah. So, interesting.
Yeah, we can just pull
Guitar Pro 7. Okay.
See, look, this is the future of what we're going to be doing, Chris.
Well, this will be fun.
We could tab it out right in Guitar Pro. So as I'm saying, hey, teach me some jazz, we can just tab it right up I have it there. Reference it.
I'm certainly not a great jazz soloist, but I can hold my own when it comes to jazz rhythm and playing chords. That was always my goal initially, was I just wanted to be able to swing and play really kick-ass chords for me to chart. Oops. Dropped my phone. I bought a new set of overalls here. They got a lot of pockets.
And look at that. Now we can tab out songs on the fly and on the go. We are fucking set the gosh darn up.
How much does a Guitar Pro 7 cost? Can't be that bad. Maybe I'll get it. Especially now I'm doing I'm doing like Zoom lessons a lot. It'd probably
you should probably.
Very handy to just email the stuff.
And hey man, that's what we use for all our tabs. Like all of our band songs are tabbed out on
good idea.
Pro 7. Like I came to the idea before they get online and people start trying to tab them out themselves. I'm going to tab them up because I know how to do it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. A lot of people don't know how to write their own music nowadays.
That's right. Which is
right. So, but
I do. I'll have to pick it up. That looks cool.
And if you do that, it's really interchangeable between us, and we can send things back and forth that we do and everything.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You know what I mean?
Cool. Even photocopying a lot of those old lessons I have and doing them on a digital form so I can take them with me.
Yeah, man.
Have them on a tablet, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Like, I do recommend Guitar Pro. Like, I'm sure there's other ones out there, and they try and get you to get Tab Pro and all that stuff.
Well, you can probably buy music that a lot of good tab for it, right?
Assume, eh? Well, I just go to Ultimate Guitar, and I just, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I go there, and I get all my tabs.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right? Cool. Yeah, it's great.
So all the songs that I want to learn, I go through there, and I find them. They're right there. They're easily accessible. Ultimate Guitar, if you want a spot on here, and you want to, and you want to get a sponsorship.
Currently seeking sponsors,
Yeah, you don't have to give us nothing. Just let us know that we're allowed to say your name.
Well, I probably got to hit the road on 9:25. I got to be in bed. I should have been in bed in 5 minutes, but oh well. I'll be knocked out by 10. I'll survive.
You'll be okay.
I'll survive. I'll have a nap tomorrow afternoon for teaching. And I slept in a bit today. I think
I gotta go put kids to bed too, so
yeah,
makes sense. We shut her down a little bit early today. We had a little short one there, folks. Thanks for coming out. Whoever comes out and watches on the replay, make sure you put down in the comments section and watch #replay or wherever you watch.
We didn't even get political. Not a whole lot.
Actually, I almost tried to, and then you kind of stopped it. Kudos to you.
Well, you know.
Because I was trying to say who's shredding it. Truckers are shredding it.
Oh, truckers are shredding it for
They're
sure.
fucking shredding it hard.
And farmers are shredding it too.
Oh, and now everybody's starting to go. They're going to occupy all cities.
Yep.
Right, and DC's happening in March.
I know a lot of people are very upset about Ottawa. And, you know, they've got family there and friends there, and I feel for them. I do understand that.
I haven't talked to any of my family in Ottawa.
It must be frustrating. I do get it, but the problem is, I hate to say it, but pick another. Okay, I've said this to a few of these friends, and they're dear people I really care about. And at least we can agree to disagree, which is great. Not everybody can. I see some of them that just don't have the intelligence to like
snowflakes melt when it's hot, son.
Yes, but no, some of the people I've had actual debates on online. They're intelligent people. I care about them. They get it. Like we just don't see eye to eye. That's okay. You know, it doesn't mean we don't like each other.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just a very polarizing issue. But yeah, I feel for it, man. But the problem is, I always say the same thing. It's like, look, if you've got a better option, an alternative, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear it. But that's why they're there. There's like everybody's been racking their brain and trying to figure out another way all year, and nothing's coming through. Like it's either our way or the highway, and it's like, well, then you're gonna get the highway, but it's not the way you wanted it, and we don't want it. Nobody wants to be there. Not one single person that protests actually wants to be there. There might be one or two
with their life.
Like they're there because we don't want to be there.
Yeah.
We just want to be left alone, and we don't want.
We're there because we're being forced to put something in our body that's not natural.
Yeah.
Right?
Or folks have agreed to do that, and they're like, well, I've agreed to do that, and so what are we doing with these lockdowns? And, you know, there's a lot of people there who are fine with vaccinations. They're just like, but what are we doing with these social distancing? What are we doing with these masks? Their question might be,
why are we still doing it?
Where'd all the money go?
Mm-hmm.
Where's all this? You know, why do we have a prime minister who's, you know, he's
in hiding?
Yeah, he won't come out, and there's all kinds of course, there's weird stuff. Did you see, I mean, just before we go, the last video we didn't even look like him. And I hate to go down a rabbit hole, but it really looked like a dude in a Trudeau mask.
Hold on.
Because it was weird. How do you gain...
Flynn, where's the fucking tinfoil?
I know, right?
Hold on, here's the tinfoil hat on the head. Okay, say that again. Because this is
the last
you put the tinfoil on.
The last interview,
you're allowed to say whatever you want.
Okay, tinfoil's on. Tinfoil's on. The last video did not even look like the same human being, and there's all these weird comparisons looking at it. And it's like it doesn't look like the same guy. And then
send me that video.
What's that?
You sent me that.
Yeah,
video.
sure. And I've seen a lot of pictures. And it just looks funny. You know when you put like a fake mask on someone, they kind of have weird jowls.
I did think
you don't get the definition in people's faces, and it just looks like someone in a Trudeau mask. It's weird. And I know that sounds crazy, but you know what? Do you remember?
They have the technology.
Do you remember Dr. Fakenstein?
No.
When they first came out with like the technology a couple of years ago on a public level, where they could do like the deep fake kind of stuff.
Oh, you're talking about that Tom Cruise video?
Well, Dr. Fakenstein was like a production studio that they were the first like really kick-ass people. They could do these videos where you have a guy talking, but it would be like Obama's face, and they'd copy the voice, and it looked really, really accurate. And obviously, it's gotten a lot better. And it's either look like that or some sort of weird. But if you have to realize that technology does exist, and like prosthetics and masks and stuff are real. You know, that wouldn't be my first guess as that's what happened. But at the same time, you look at that video, you just go, that doesn't look like the same.
Why does that seem?
Or maybe like they just had a real shit makeup artist. Because normally they make him look so thin and all handsome on TV, and then you get the budget guy who couldn't come, he's quarantined or whatever. So then you get the new gal, and maybe she's not so good, and suddenly on camera, Buddy looks all puffy and fat. Could be that too, but it did look like that.
Well,
and then we got our tinfoil hats on. And it's not like I thought of that first. A bunch of people pointed out. It was like, oh shit.
Well, when you couple that with the fact that Boris Johnson looked at fucking Joe Biden and said, "Who are you? You're not Joe Biden."
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much weird fishy shit going on.
Right? When you couple it with that, and there's video evidence of that floating around, so don't even fucking try me. I'm not looking for it right now because I have better things to do with my life. But if you want to look for it and find it and then tell me whether I'm wrong or not, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
The universe will bring it to me if I need to show it to you anyway.
But it's not like these are normal times, so fishiness is to be expected.
Well, the world is upside down. They tried to force liquid fucking poison into our bodies. And
or even just
apparently
something that's not necessary. I don't see the point in getting vaccinated.
Also, apparently the Democrats funneled money into BLM now.
Yeah.
That's coming out too.
Well, GoFundMe. There was a GoFundMe for Chaz. There was a GoFundMe for Black Lives Matter, which I'm fine with.
Which they won't.
I don't know about the Chaz thing. That's a bit weird. But Black Lives Matter was like, why shouldn't there be a GoFundMe for it? I have no problem with that.
Why is GoFundMe taking the money from the truck?
But then, suddenly this is like, oh, okay, you're picking and choosing. That's not the way this should work.
Well, yeah. I didn't think GoFundMe should be allowed to do that.
Well, even though they did, and then it was we were going to hold the money, and then it was going to be this. But then people came up with the idea that, well, we're going to do like an NSF fee and a chargeback, and then there's arbitrations. So when you do arbitrations, it becomes like, then they have to pay a certain amount of money, and it's like a $200 fee. And because it's in their contract, they have to pay the fee. You don't have to pay the fee. So if all of a sudden, even half the people did that, I mean, it could bankrupt them, right? So then they suddenly changed it. They're like, nope, we're going to just refund all the money. It's like, okay, fine. But they're already there.
And
people are going in now. They won't let slip trucks in. They won't let slip trucks into Gaslam. So people are going in with jerry cans to fill the trucks because we won't be stopped. It's just the way it is. And, the folks, I know some folks are like, you should just go home. I'm like, you're right. We should just go home as soon as they stop those fucking mandates. Because if we go home, we're not going to be allowed to go to bars. We're not going to be able to go to gyms. And there's who's to say these are going to stop, and then what's next? I'm sorry, but it's a going trend. And I feel bad for the people in Ottawa, but you know what? Most people and everyone I know who's complaining about this never once felt bad for me. They never once felt bad for you. I never saw them saying we shouldn't fire the doctors. Nobody said, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't force these truckers to do this. No, it's either our way or the highway, our way or the highway, our way or the highway. Now suddenly they want us to we should capitulate. Well, you weren't willing to capitulate for a fucking year. People were trying to get you to negotiate for a year straight and nothing. No give, no nothing. So this is the way it goes. It's unfortunate. Nobody wants to be there.
We want our freedom. We will do whatever it takes to get our freedom because that's what freedom is.
And this is what happens when you push people around. And you're bound to get someone to push back. And
we were polite for a very long time. And a lot of these people that are fucking sitting there not being polite and being rude are going to find out that they are far more outnumbered than they ever thought that they were.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that kind of did it just to be polite.
Yeah.
I saw a breakdown about it the other day. They broke it down into 4 quadrants. They're like, you got the far left people that are like totally fucking, I hope you die if you don't get the vaccine. Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, to the you people, fuck you. Fuck you.
I'd love to accommodate you, but turns out it doesn't work.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
We're just not dying.
And then you got the next group, which is kind of like, yeah, the vaccine's a good idea, whatever, we'll get it, it's good, everybody should have it. But they don't want anybody else to get it that doesn't want it.
Yeah, normal people.
Then you got the people that were kind of duped and were like, yeah, we'll get it just to kind of go along.
I'll go along, get alongs.
And
The
then,
way you describe that is like, that's a good term. The go along, get alongs.
and then you got the people that are just like, no, fuck that. I want to do what I want.
Yeah.
And then what the government doesn't realize is that 3 of those groups are actually the same people.
Right.
They think that everybody's in the one group, but we're all over here going, hey, man, we actually don't care who does what. Why are you forcing it down our throats like a dry penis?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that dick don't taste good. Get it out of my fucking mouth.
And, yeah. Until they stop. The freaky part is the governments just will not listen. They will not. So where's it going to go? I don't know.
The truth is going to come out is what's going to.
So we'll do a bit of both.
Next week is the occupation of Fredericton.
Oh, that's right. So we are going to be full on political, right?
Oh, yeah, we are going to be full on political because I'm even bringing my buddy Todd over, a veteran. He's going to come out and hang out with us, Todd Holmes. Shout out to you, brother. I sent the fucking.
Although, God willing, we won't have to. Because they'll have all gone home because they dropped the mandates and restrictions.
That's true. That could happen as well.
That'd be nice.
That would be pretty nice.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
We're going to be going until they go to D.C.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that's the thing. Even Stephen was right there. Donald Trump even said it. It has to start in Canada first.
Yeah.
It has to be Canada and the United States standing together because we're basically one country anyway.
Well, the yellow vests in France, I saw a clip today. You know who was leading the march? Police officers in uniform.
There's a lot of police officers supporting in Ottawa too.
So a lot of hope.
Like there's a lot of people. There's like even a lot of those people that are wishing harm upon people. They don't even know that they're being lied to. That's the problem.
They don't know. They really believe they're
We
in the
can't
right.
even be mad at them because they just.
And I'm not. Yeah.
It's not their fault. Our world is set up that way for people to feel that safe.
Yep, they got
That is a privilege to feel that fucking safe right now.
Yeah.
And that's how those people feel.
It's
They
going to be
feel that
unfortunate.
safe.
I feel for them when they
But when the veil is lifted,
that pill for a long time, and they're not going to have any.
hey man, karma's a bitch,
Yes, it is.
and she likes it dry.
Yeah.
And on that note, we're gonna let Chris go home. Later, Facebook or not Facebook, YouTube.
You do.
YouTube. Woo!
Oh. Check out my new overalls. $25. And they got apron pockets.